Hello everyone, time to talk about some new books. This is a second video that I am doing for and thanks to NetGalley and the publishers of reading some A.R.C.s coming up, so keep watching. I will talk about, for starter, about an adult thriller. Suspense? Suspense. Kind of suspense. Under the Willows by Pamela McCord. The story is a mother, new widow, and her son, I think he's 12, 14, whatever. He's a young kid. So yes, the husband, since it's a new widow, losing her husband in a car accident right before the death, well, not minutes, before he died, he got an inheritance from one of his aunts, the favorite one. And yes, she is leaving him her house. She's selling everything, and they're gonna start a new life, or they're gonna try to keep moving on with their life in this new house. At the same time that they are arriving, there is a missing a young girl. It was the writing is fast. It goes without any problem, so that's a good thing. For telling the story, I would say that it's more something romance. There is some kind of balance. There's some kind of balance between romance, suspense, thriller. It's really not much. That's why for me it's difficult to really put it that way. I would say more suspense, tiny bit of thriller. That fact actually is taking some interest and excitement. It would be maybe too much excitement from myself with the story. After 5 minutes arriving in this new city, she's facing a guy, and some bubbly butterflies are starting inside her stomach. So obviously she's questioning, because it's just a few weeks, a few months that the husband died, that it's too soon, that she's still in love. It's true that she's in love. It was apparently a happy marriage. That she shouldn't, so she has to grieve. She wants to stay truthful to the memory of her husband, but she wants so much to go with him. It's like the kind of thought and mentality that you will find in questioning with the romance that I don't like much. It's just because it's not my stuff, but you are having a lot of that throughout the story. And that's the reason why I'm telling that there is a case of missing child, because yes, it's in the background, but it's kind of the center of the story at the same time. Something that will happen in their house with the Amazon Alexa in the room of her kid, that you don't have any explanation even at the end of the story, but what they will hear through the device will help to locate the missing child. It's pretty much with the first few pages of the story that you can guess who is the villain in the story, because it's not that clever you found it, it's just in front of your face. If you like romance, if this is your first step into thriller, suspense, mystery, so you're not sure that you can like and what this is all about, I think Under the Willows could be a good place for you to start. Yeah, that's pretty much it. It wasn't for me. Next one, Dead Air by Michael Bradley. I wasn't so sure. Just came out June 7. Nathalie from the future. I kind of forgot that there was an interruption while I was starting to film the review for Dead Air, and when I come back, and it's just when I was doing a few minutes ago the editing that I realized that kind of a piece of information was missing for the story. So I'm just gonna add very quickly that Olivia, is it Olivia? Laura. When you are editing and you have only women characters, it's gonna be easy to mix all the names. So I was saying that Laura is living alone in Philadelphia. She is hosting a segment in a radio station for dedicating a favorite or hating songs to others or yourself. And we understand right away, I think maybe the first or the second page of the book, that she has a stalker. And that stalker is becoming actually very threatening and dangerous toward her. At the same time, we have the information that in Philadelphia there is a serial killer named the LGBT murderer. And I think this is everything that I have to say, because now we are back where it was filmed. So the elements of the LGBT murderer is so good and clever, because you're coming with some theories about the stalker. Could it be transgender? That could be an interesting change from the classic one. So, but therefore you don't know. It could be someone from the past of one sex and change now in the future, and so you don't know exactly if you have to suspect a man or woman, or it is really good. So you're gonna say, okay, so why that aspect took a star away? Because the resolution of that murder, of that serial killer, who it was like it happened like this, and you don't even have an explanation for the why the killing, and it kind of happened in 5 minutes and that's it. No more talking about that. So that, for me, that's the reason why it took a star away. It wasn't a 5-star, and like I said, I think it was good, because since the beginning we are we know we have the information about that serial killer. So that's why it was right away at the beginning that you have your theory that the stalker could be, or the villain could be a transgender, for instance. And so it spices more the mystery, because you're naturally thinking about that for the villain, and especially because of the way that it's resolved, it's like I don't really see the point therefore to bring that element or to create that fact of a serial killer in this part of the community of LGBT. It's just weird and doesn't really make sense. It doesn't take anything away from telling the story. So discovering what happened in her past, of Laura having so much remorse and not allowing herself of being happy, of living, that she's guilty. And it was really good. I really did appreciate it, and I suggest you to try to read it. So Dead Air, Michael Bradley, that's a good one. Next book, published June 19th, All of Us by A.G. Carter. Wow, that was quite a ride. 5 stars. Yes, I have to say, trigger warnings for violence against animal, against child pornography, violence, torture, bondage, rape, Let me check if I forgot something. Yeah, mental disorder, split personalities. Okay, trigger warning. If this is too much for you, maybe do not go at reading the book. We don't have description, we are not in details, but we are talking about the subject during the whole time of the book. So if this is too much for you, don't go. Otherwise, it was so good, so clever, so well done. I love the writing of the author. We are following Caroline Grant. She is a woman in New York, but she suffers from mental disorder, split personalities. Terrible things happen, and with the trigger warnings, you have the idea about what. When she was a little kid, throughout her 18 years old. And that's how the creation of the different personalities, therefore all of us, has been created. Each personality has a purpose to help Caroline Grant. It's like a title. Each one has a name, each personality, and they have a function, a purpose to do something, to help her live, to help her survive, to help her work or clean or whatever. They all are existing for something. Because of her split personality, she ended up having being sent in front of the court, and she must follow a therapy, having some session with a psychiatrist in order for him to decide if she's crazy, good for the asylum, or if not, and she is capable of living by herself, of working, paying the bills, of being completely independent. So she has to convince the psychiatrist that she is, despite the existing different personalities. So we are following each of those personalities. We have their thoughts, their dream, their inspiration. We see if they interact with each other. If not, if one wants to make the other one vanish and annihilate. So it was fascinating in that way, gripping, despite the fact that it's a very traumatic subject topic. But that's what I'm saying. I don't think that it happened a lot anyway, of telling a story this way and following a character or someone with a split personality. And so you're going to ask, where is the thriller element in that story? It's because someone from her past will come back. That person is going to be killed, and Caroline Grant is going to be a suspect. It's not only did Caroline kill, it's which one of the personality may have killed, because it's still a possibility. It's a theory. And so this is the thriller part for the story. That person from her past coming back and ended up the way that it happened, it was predictable, but it didn't take anything away. It happened kind of in the middle, at the beginning, before the middle, or somewhere around. So it's not a twist by itself. Because of the split personality, it makes sense at the same time that you have an element where she will be suspected, and that would be cool, but not in reality. But that would be cool to see which personality could have done the murder. It's kind of obvious, but because of what she had to endure when she was young, and throughout all this years, she doesn't trust pretty much anyone, and she doesn't open herself to anyone. So you have that element of trying. So on a serious point of view, you have that element of trying to make things work out with the different personality existing for having an existing and functioning Caroline Grant, for working together in order to pass through all of those obstacles in that moment in her life and being able to move on. So that was really nice, very interesting to see. So it is sad to read. You're not crying, well, obviously you're not crying every second time, but there is some sadness. It's impossible not to be touched by the story of that character. Yeah, I really did love it. The ending is completely satisfying, and you know, when you want to combine words, sometimes it's not working by itself. I will definitely try to read another work from that author, A.G. Carter, all of us. Then there is the last in the line of Megan Miranda books, The Girl from Widow Hills. I just finished it, so it's published date June 23. I have to say that it's not the first time that I read something from her. Something with Megan Miranda, and I'm gonna do a special video about that author and the 5 books that I read by her, so to give you an idea of what they are about, and if there is something interesting, if there are things interesting. But I'm just gonna make sure that saying I really love her writing. She has a way of using words, of telling and describing with kind of an enchanted way of, you're kind of hypnotized by the beauty of the words, despite the sad or the tragic or the seriousness of the story. This is all what I'm gonna say, but I really do love her way of writing. We are following Arden Marrier. 5 years old, she went missing for 3 days in Widow Hills. All the city, everyone, the surroundings, a huge community came up, tried to search her, but tried to find her. Finally, they did. She is alive. Well, she was alive. She had some big injuries, but she doesn't remember anything during those 3 days. What happened? She is just, and she keep being terrified of confinement, small spaces. Nowadays, I think it's 26 years old, 25 years old. She changed her name because it was too much pressure with people and journalists always coming to her for having information about her, what happened. She described as they are asking a lot from herself to give them, and she wasn't able to find a place at existing for herself. So she changed for Olivia Mayer. So it's not really far away from her words. She changed and living in different states and working in a hospital in the administration part. She never told anyone. Well, first because she can't remember, but she never explained her life. What happened when she was a kid, and when she went missing, she was sleepwalking. It never happened for 20 years, and now it started again, sleepwalking. But one night, she's gonna kind of wake up or come back from the sleepwalking, and she is in her garden, between her garden and the one from the neighbor friends, and there's a dead body facing her, and she is obviously panicking. She feared that she might have killed that person. This is a weird resolution about what happened when she went missing and what happened now with that new body, with that body in her garden. Everything seems to point always connected to her, to the past, to that missing period, that she still doesn't recollect anything. And when you start to have some answers, when some clues start to be coming in your way, you're like, oh man. But for me, I didn't feel it was too much. Putting back into the context, and sorry, I can't say more because it's gonna be completely revealed. Putting back into the context with the different person involved, it makes sense for the villain of this story, the way that he thinks, and to explain what happened, he or her, what happened, what he or her did. And in that point of view, it was believable. And yes, it could be like, yeah, no, it's too crazy, it's insane, that kind of thing. It could be, but never have to forget that, well, for some people, that kind of thought is existing. I mean, it can happen. It could be that small, that kind of stupid at this, but it is a thing for some, and they totally will be able to make a mountain out of nothing and to create chaos. For that, I totally believe, just because it's true. So in that perspective, it didn't disappoint me or it didn't shock me, but it was really good in that way. And you have another twist that's, I kind of think, and then with everything happening in between, I was like, no, it's not. So when it happened back again, I was like, oh, she's freaking insane. I'm not talking about the main character, the female character, another character, but it is really good. The difficulty, obviously, of opening yourself, of trusting yourself, because that person has seen years after years that people surrounding her, they always came because she was famous at being the girl from Wither Hills who went missing and has been found alive at the end. So they wanted to have the media, the attention of the media, or they wanted to have something from her. So understandable that she's keeping that part of her life for herself. And I think everything was totally believable. And till the very end, yes, absolutely. I really have nothing bad to say about that. I really suggest you to try The Girl from Wither Hills. It is different from Fragment of the Lost. Maybe if you didn't like that much that one, so this new work from Megan Miranda could do the trick. I don't know, but for me it did, and I'm very happy. Last book that I read, publishing date will be the beginning of July. I don't remember if it's July 3rd or 7th, but beginning of July, The Patient by Jasper DeWitt. It was promising, but this is a young psychiatrist who is coming to work, starting to work. I wanted to say seriously. No, you did it for fun before. Seriously, just because this is his big debut work in an asylum, or really a big health center. And we are following the story that he's telling us about this patient. The title to everyone, to the people, because it is through a blog that he's posting. But we know that this is a blog post, but you don't have the format of it. So just to let you know this. So he's telling the story that in this asylum communal psychiatrist, I don't remember what it is meant for, but there's a patient, Joseph Short. Joe was here pretty much for the last 20 years. It's a long time. He really wondered what's going on with him, because pretty much right now nobody wants to, well, try to do something to help him, try to find what is wrong with him, and maybe find a cure to at some point let him out. He is obviously thinking very certain of himself that he will do something, and he even suspects that Joe might not even be, well, crazy, or there's a problem with him and maybe he's kept against his will. So he's kind of plotting to do something about that. This is all what I'm gonna say, except that one of the oldest nurse in this asylum told the psychiatrist, the young one, pretty much at the beginning, that nobody wanted to come close or to stay even few seconds, few minutes in the direct surrounding of this patient Joe, because pretty much everyone who did, psychiatrists, nurses, or staff employee, well, something very wrong went with them. If they didn't end up crazy, they just quit, or some even, killed themselves. Mystery through that. And that's why when you are starting, because the information is coming very much quickly at the beginning, you start to think, obviously, maybe he is possessed. There's an entity in his body, in his mind, controlling him, and that's what it is happening. And that's the good reason why we are reading, because we want to know, how is it going to happen? I'm not going to say more about the reveal and everything else, except that what I said at the beginning, it was promising. It's not that I think, we stay really the whole time with that psychiatrist, and we are not, I wanted to see more, to hear more about Joseph, but maybe the before those incidents, having the descriptions of what happened, but nowadays in this story of something happening, in order to build up more of that creepy factor, possession, entity, devil, whatever it might have been. So to really embrace the horror factor that this thriller was going to in that direction, but it didn't happen. So in that way, and I'm not a horror fiction fan, but when it's interesting and I feel that I want to give it a try, I'm going for it. And that's what happened with the patient I really wanted to read. During the whole time that this young doctor is trying to see for himself and eventually if he can do something for that patient, he is doing anything. He's doing nothing of what he should do, never going to see his family, never directly asking questions, never checking in the archives about the different events before the asylum. Else he's not investigating himself. He only think for himself about all of those different talks that he can have with him, and nothing more. So yeah, that was a bit odd, I would say, not really believable, or maybe it's believable, but it's pretty stupid to do something like this. With the reveal, with what it is really behind, it's obviously happening at the end, but yeah, like I said, you are expecting a build-up with this possession, that you're gonna have some descriptions to the scenes, that the events of what happened, but you're not getting into it. And when you're going really into his past, it is still not up to the level of what you expect. And once again, I am not a fan of horror, so I'm not enthusiastically expecting to have something gore or whatever that might had been. But still, you don't have that result. It was good. I don't feel true. It doesn't feel true to give it two, but I would say it's a basic 3 stars. Um, it was easy to read, that's for sure, but the build up of the story, and especially the part of the horror one, could have been so much better if it would have been done better. That's it. So this is for this time the second part of the reviews, NetGalley's reviews for advanced reading copies that I read lately. So this time it was 5 different books, and obviously there's gonna be a third part as soon as I will have 4 or 5 other books read for the next weeks or a month. In the meantime, I really wish that you're gonna get a chance to All of Us and to Dead Air and to The Girl from Widow Hills. Give it a try. You never know, just like I did. I had no idea with All of Us, and it was such an amazing surprise. Yeah, thank you very much for watching this video. Leave some comment please down below if you read one of those. What were your thoughts, so we can have kind of a chat, friendly chat about all this. And until the next time, well, do whatever you want, but just have some fun.